Top 5 Instructing Facts. Fact 1. The cost of the Los Angeles wildfires damage could be at least $250 billion. Here is who pays the bills. The damage and economic cost estimates for the wildfires in Los Angeles are in the hundreds of billions, a bill that will be split among local and federal governments, insurers, and residents. As of Tuesday, law authorities reported that 24 people had died and over 12,300 structures had been destroyed. Meanwhile, more than 40,000 acres have burned, displacing residents and leveling neighborhoods. High winds expected this week have firefighters racing to contain the blazes. And as the damage increases, so does the price tag. In a new estimate, the weather data platform AccuWeather puts the total cost between $175 and $175 billion and calls the damage catastrophic. The full cost of the wildfires won't be clear until long after the smoke clears, and expensive rebuilding efforts could take years. Fact 2. Biden warns of a tech industrial complex and says America must lead the way on AI, not China, in farewell address. Biden delivered his farewell address to the nation on Wednesday, days before he leaves office. Biden warned of an oligarchy taking shape in the US and a tech industrial complex. He also said AI posed opportunities and risks and that the US must lead the way over China. Fact 3. If I'm being brutally honest, Anthony Scaramucci's economic outlook under Trump's second term. Days before the inauguration, Anthony Scaramucci, a vocal Trump critic, has set his differences with his former employer aside and changed his tune as he looks forward to the next 4 years. After all, the incoming administration is expected to favor crypto, a sector Scaramucci is heavily tied to through big bets made by his firm Skybridge, an alternative asset manager with a digital asset macro fund. The hedge fund founder, also known for his 11-day tenure in the White House, with 6 of them as a communications director, went as far as saying that President Joe Biden's win in 2020 has played favorably into President-elect Donald Trump's second term. The reason is that it cuts through the fatigue that tends to set in when an administration holds office for 2 consecutive terms. Trump can return to Washington with a freshness and a better understanding of the job, he said, as he complimented his calmer, more relaxed demeanor. I think we are going to get a better outcome, Scaramucci said in an interview with Business Insider. Actually, if I'm being brutally honest, I'm not a fan of his. I did not vote for him. But I think you end up with a better outcome in Trump 2 versus Trump 1. Underneath Trump's rhetoric, Scaramucci believes there are some sane arguments. He listed a series of pro-growth policies that could benefit the US economy. They include the likelihood of extending the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, TCJA, lowering corporate taxes, which will make US companies more competitive globally, and clarity on crypto legislation. The scrutiny, however, will be on the ability to offset the revenue losses that will follow. This comes down to whether there will be enough cutting of wasteful government spending to balance the budget through initiatives like the incoming Department of Government Efficiency, popularly known as DOGE, and tariffs as a form of consumption tax. Despite the market's nervousness about tariffs, Scaramucci doesn't think the final outcome will be a blanket-based approach. Instead, he is betting on tariffs that will be surgically placed to target cheaper imports subsidized by their foreign governments to protect domestic industries that cannot compete. But the rhetoric has its own set of consequences. As a macro-focused investor, Scaramucci is concerned about the threats Trump is tossing around about invading Greenland or making Canada the 50th state. The bellicosity of that rhetoric can trigger an unforeseen conflict, he said, including forced alliances between countries with a shared adversary, in this case, the US. He worries that Western nations could go as far as helping sanctioned nations avoid US sanctions, where they would have been less reluctant to do that if they had the security guarantees of the Americans. You got to say, okay, wow, this is unnecessary. This raises the risk premium of what's going on due to the arbitrary nature of it, Scaramucci said. He added that markets like predictability, and investors don't want to be subjected to Trump's daily tweet storms. Conversely, if Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin find common ground and end the Ukraine war, that would lower oil prices and improve the market's overall risk appetite for assets. As for the Hamas situation, it'll likely end in one of two ways: a ceasefire and a return of bodies or living hostages, or in the end of Hamas. On Wednesday, Israel and Hamas had reached a deal to end the fighting and exchange Israeli hostages for Palestinian prisoners. Related stories. Crypto. On the topic of crypto, he referred to the Democrats as being tone deaf, and that played a small hand in why they lost this election. They didn't understand the sector and allowed Gensler and Elizabeth Warren to hijack the narrative because they were close to Sam Bankman-Fried and his parents, and they thought going hard at the overall industry was going to protect them politically. But I mean, they got hurt. He expects the next 4 years to ring in clarity around crypto legislation, including what areas will be regulated under the US Securities and Exchange Commission versus the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. He is also hoping for a series of lawsuits against crypto firms to be dropped. Once policies are set, it will attract more participation in crypto, including retail, which leads him to anticipate the possibility of a strong crypto market this year. However, he admits that he has been wrong many times before, including when calling for $100,000 Bitcoin amid expectations of a spot ETF in 2022, an outcome he says was delayed by outgoing chair Gary Gensler. This time, he expects Bitcoin to hit $100,000 by year-end and bring the top 15 altcoins with the highest market cap, even if there are a few pullbacks along the way. But he is not banking on his prediction and noted that markets have humbled him many times. Fact: 4 billionaires and CEOs have a choice to make: attend Trump's inauguration or the first day of Davos. Decisions. Billionaires and CEOs have to choose between Donald Trump's inauguration or the first day of Davos. Attending Trump's inauguration could mean scoring face time with the new president. Fact: 5 Malaysia wants to become Asia's Silicon Valley. This time, investors and founders say it's got a shot. Kian Wei Kong's hands snapped from the wheel as we hit the highway in the midday rain. The bespectacled 28-year-old, a former insurance salesman, was taking me for a spin of what he and two college friends were selling: a plug-and-play dashcam that uses AI to drive your family car too. Their company is Komu, one of the 4,000 Malaysian startups the federal government hopes will form a key pillar of a new Asian tech boom. As the nation exits an era of political turmoil, founders like Kian say they are hopeful. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, friends.